and welcome to another edition of Cruising with the Coaches, conversation with Julie and Lee. I am one of your co-hosts, Lee Grigsby, co-host with the most, best co-host ever. Oh, Julie, hey, I got it right. I pointed the right way. There you go.
Yes, you did.
How's everything going for you?
Doing all right. How about you?
Good. Hanging in there, hanging in there. Can't complain. Um, I really like our topic today because I think it's empowering, right? It's
Yes, for
about
sure.
it's about giving yourself a voice, right?
Yes.
Um, and yeah, what, we'll just jump into it because I don't really have any loofah updates. It's been a
Okay.
while,
Yes.
but but I'm gonna bring that back just so because I know the viewers are interested, right? I know they're like, wait, what's he using now? What's the? I know they are. I know they are. Send your comments. Send your comments. So what we're talking about today is have how to advocate for yourself with a doctor. And it's pretty important, but we want to point out some things first, right? This is from healthline.com. If you're black or identify as a female or part of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, there can be additional barriers to you getting the right care. Um, in 2021, researchers performed a survey involving Black people living in California. Results showed that almost 1 in 3 were treated unfairly in the medical system due to the color of their skin. This number was even higher among Black people who had a disability or identified as LGBTQIA. Many women have also had difficult experiences in the healthcare system. Interviews from 2021 explored some of the barriers, excuse me, that women faced when seeking healthcare. The results showed that 73% of participants felt that people dismissed their needs or they felt unheard at a past medical appointment. Studies cited from 2016 showed that LGB folks had several barriers to accessing health care that they need, so they may even be more likely for low quality health care. Um, so before we get to the tips, right? Anything that you'd like to share? Because I know I have a few thoughts on this as well. But anything you'd like to share about advocating for yourself, for your own health, for your health care with a doctor? The floor is yours.
I mean, I think it goes both ways. Because you
Mm-hmm.
have physicians who, whether they're afraid of you or they're just blowing you off. I mean, it could go
Sure,
either way.
sure.
So like it can be, I don't want to offend this patient. Like I don't want to
I got
be
you.
coming off too aggressive or too this or too that.
Mm-hmm.
Or the fact of the matter is most studies don't include us, to be fair. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
literally most, everything is standardized by Caucasian. I mean, the Caucasian woman, the Caucasian male. They aren't
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
based on, you
People
know,
of color, yeah.
Latinos or African American, let alone someone who's mixed. So then it's just like then they really don't know what to do.
Right, right.
It's no different than walking into a hair salon and they're trying to mess with your hair.
You're
Because they
like,
what? Like,
but
what do I do with this?
or
So
they're not here today. They can't help you. Yeah, the
exactly.
one person we have.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really about being in tune with your own body and
Yeah.
understand, like, no, the answer you just gave me isn't sufficient. So,
Hmm.
if you don't know the answer, I need to talk to somebody who can give me a better answer. Period.
I'm so glad you said that. There's nothing wrong with the second opinion or
Correct.
third. That you as the person know your body best.
Correct.
While I will I will never say that I'm a doctor because I'm not. I just play one on TV. No, but but they've all doctors, no matter how good you think they are or not, have a certain amount of training, a certain amount of expertise in their field. That being said, that doesn't mean that that's the right person to be treating you, right?
Correct. Correct.
The first thing is there's um they call it bedside manner, right? But treating people like a person and not a number, right? Not
Correct.
just it's not a revolving door, okay?
Correct.
But I think there's cultural things to look at. There's regional things to look at. I remember when I was first diagnosed with, well, no, I wasn't first diagnosed at this point, but back as a beginning teenager when the psoriasis was really kicking in, right?
Hmm.
Doctor had just moved into Ohio, moved into Oberlin from Chicago, from South Side Chicago, right? So the type of people and things he was treating going to be different from South Side Chicago in Oberlin, right? Um, so he classified my psoriasis as secondary syphilis.
Oh,
And I was like, okay. Now, thankfully, my mother was there, and she was like, hold the phone. I now that's a whole other can of worms because I'm sitting there like, ooh, in order to get that, don't you have to have sex and all that?
right. Right.
And then wait, we're about to talk about that in front of her? Like what?
Yes. Yes.
Although it was not secondary syphilis, so thankfully there.
Yeah.
But just having had her advocate, because again, I think I was, I don't know, 13, 14, right? And what do you say to that to a doctor who's like, yeah, this is what it looks like to me? What? What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
took like 3 or 4 years after that to actually diagnose it correctly as psoriasis. But just that type of thing alone, right?
Right.
Misdiagnosing. Um, it happens, you
Yeah.
know. I
Right.
can't tell you the amount of injuries, and I'm like, no, well, the torn meniscus I had, and my I almost said pediatric, orthopedic, not pediatric, orthopedic doctor was like, well, if this doesn't work, we'd have surgery. Mm, time out.
Yeah.
I don't want to have surgery because I know there are things I can do to rehab this without surgery.
Correct.
Like I'm not doing that. And I actually got the cortisone shot without my wanting the cortisone shot. It was happened like before I knew it. But anyway, that's a whole nother issue. But I didn't have surgery. That's the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I don't speak up, we're gonna end up having surgery.
Right.
So
Right.
no deal. No deal.
Well, and then the other piece to that too is our
Mhm.
going through the assumption that the person in the white coat knows everything. And
Right.
they don't, because they don't know what's technically going on with you. Because, I just went through the same thing with the ortho. It was,
Hmm.
we had a plan. I had broken my humerus in two places. He's a
Hmm.
surgeon. That's what they do. They cut. That's
That's their
surgery
expertise.
fixes
That's
things.
their
Yes,
right.
they fix
Right.
things.
Right.
So immediately, that's what we thought. We're gonna we're gonna have to put a plate. Or actually, it started with, we're going. You have an option, and we had
Hmm.
a plan.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I, like you, didn't want surgery. It was just like, yep, we're gonna go this route. Blah blah blah. Boom boom.
Sure.
Then 6 weeks into it, he's like, yeah, it's not healing the way I wanted it to. Well, I don't care how you wanted it to heal.
But
I'm good with where it's, like I'm not in any pain.
right.
I'm doing my thing. And
Right.
yeah, we're going to go to surgery on Monday. Uh, I, you're going to go to surgery because I'm not going to surgery. You can go to surgery, but I ain't going to be in the room.
Who's
So,
who's in your pocket that you're taking? Because
exactly.
yeah,
So
no.
again, I was like, got a second opinion. And this
Hmm.
guy was just like, look, if you're not ready up here, there's no way we're going to do that. And so I was
Right.
like, okay, you, sir, are my new physician.
Well, and like I work in other industry, well, other industries. Again, other episodes I've said I got multiple jobs, right? One of
Yeah,
the things
right.
that I do with Weight Watchers, people talk about certain things in our workshops, and I will always point them to if you have a medical question, you need to seek your doctor's opinion. And
Correct.
people then will share, well, I did this with my doctor, and I'm not. satisfied with an answer, then seek a second opinion, right?
Exactly. Or a third or a
Yeah.
fourth, until
Hmm.
someone actually addresses what it is that you are seeking an answer, then
Exactly.
you keep it moving. Period.
Exactly. Like you
Yeah.
said, I think people think, oh, they're the doctor. They had to wear the white coat, so they know everything. They have an expertise in something,
Yes.
but it
Yes.
doesn't mean they know it all, or doesn't mean that they're right. You
No.
know,
No. I mean, I
doesn't
had
mean
a
that they're
friend,
right.
African American woman, wasn't feeling well, kept pursuing something's wrong, this isn't right,
Hmm.
this is something. She ended up having cancer. But it took her to keep saying, "Hey, something
Something's
isn't
not.
right. Something
Hmm.
is wrong. Something is
Hmm.
going on with my body." But had she not been persistent, I
And,
mean, what the
and
heck?
and then right, not being persistent, then it would have caught it later. I'm
After the
like,
fact, stage 4, what are we
oh,
going to do about it? Yeah,
so sorry. We wish we had caught this. Well, you could have if you listened to me.
if you listen. Exactly. Exactly.
And
So,
that was part of the communities. The people of color, marginalized communities, like you said, the system is based off of Caucasian folks, off of the white
exactly.
male, white female. So
Yep.
we got to advocate.
Yep.
Speaking
For
of
sure.
how to do that, let's share the tips with our viewers, starting with number one. So the first tip is they say book for success. When you make the appointment, make it known what you want to discuss. You don't need to share the whole story, but giving some of the details ahead of time can help ensure that the appointment is appropriate, like they schedule enough time, that kind of thing. I will say with this booking the appointment, a lot of times we have a patient portal now, right? So I have communicated with my doctor plenty of times in the portal, like, hey, da, 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 and find I don't need an appointment, right? I get the answer I need through
Right.
the patient portal already. So I like booking for success, but you might just try communicating first,
Correct.
you know?
Yep.
Um, the second tip is kind of practice what you're going to say during the appointment, right? It could be helpful to think about what you want to say and how you'll say it. So think about what your main concern is and how to share this with the doctor. Because it also might be helpful just for you to say it out loud so that you hear what you're saying, right? Any Oh,
I'd
yeah,
like
go
to
ahead.
see, I'd like to take that one just a step further. write
Sure.
write write it down, because when you get in there, like, especially like right now with the ortho, like I'm still in the process.
Hmm.
So, like, we do something new. Well, I shouldn't say with the ortho, with my PT. So when we
Hmm.
go and we
Hmm.
do something new, and I'm all about doing something new or what have you, but then I forget
Hmm.
to say about a new ache or a new something, and I'm like,
This happened 2 days ago, or when I
yes, or,
did this
last
move.
time I saw
Yeah.
you, this
Yeah.
happened, and
Yeah.
whatever, or my wrist is doing this now, whatever. And,
Hmm.
like, or even when I was able to get out of the sling, I told her, I was like, the more I put the sling on, it hurts when I put the sling on. And she was just like, okay,
Right.
then it's time for us to not wear the sling
To,
anymore. And I was like,
hmm.
oh, okay, cool. But, like, I was still putting that bad boy on, thinking like I'm supposed to be wearing this because she said I'm supposed to wear this. And then I'm like, man, this thing hurts. And I'm like, wearing it at the office as I'm putting it on, thinking, "Damn, this thing hurts." And I
Why am I?
left with it
Yeah.
on, and I said, "Damn, I was supposed to tell her how much it hurts when I put it back on." And I'm like,
And then you got to wait for another 2, 3 weeks for the next appointment.
well, at
And
48 hours,
yeah.
I was still doing
Oh, got you.
two.
The two.
I go twice,
Got
and
you.
so it was just, again, do yourself a service of texting
Write it.
yourself or writing it down or putting it somewhere where you remember to make sure it's a part of the appointment. Because
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you don't want to forget. Like
no,
that's the
yes,
point.
yes.
Practice and write it down. All
And
right.
write it down. And write it down.
Nice. So, also along with writing it down, bring. I'm just gonna say bring a friend, not bring a buddy. But yeah, bring someone with you, right?
Yes.
Um, if you find the appointments are overwhelming, you're not alone. Many people feel that way, and they can so consider bringing a close friend or a family member. Might want to consider that family member who you bring. But having an extra person there, it can be helpful for many reasons. This person not only can support you if you're frustrated or worried about the appointment, but they can also, as you were mentioning, right? Like write it down. Well, this person can take notes. They can be
Mhm.
another set of ears that's there at the appointment that hears what the doctor is saying, right?
Right.
Um, I just want to share something like with this part. There were a few times where my mom had gone to this was at the dentist, right? And she was having some different work done, this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, I ended up paying the dental bill, by the way. But I was like, hey, but then call me when you go, so that way I can be on the phone and we'll be on speaker, so I can hear what the dentist is telling you, right?
Mhm.
Because you may not remember everything to tell me, so that way I'll hear it right from the dentist, right? So maybe the person is not there with you, but can be on a call, right? Well,
Right.
we could do video calls and stuff now. I don't know if that's violation in a doctor's office doing a video call, but
Yeah.
you can at least be on the phone so that you know that's taking someone to the office with you.
And it's also good to have a second person there too, because if you are someone who is easily intimidated and pushed into a decision that you are not comfortable with, you at
Hmm.
least have a second set of ears, or at least someone else who you've already predetermined what the plan was when you walked in. And if
And
they
that person
are
can say,
feeling,
mm-mm,
nope, that's
nah.
not what we discussed. Like,
Right,
that's not what
right.
you and I discussed. I know the doctor is giving us another option, but that's not what we discussed. And then
Hmm.
you can serve as the bad guy, if you are the buddy, and say to the doctor, like, while we appreciate what information we are receiving your information, and we will go back with our information and we will give you a
Hmm.
decision,
We'll get back to you on
Exact.
that.
And so that's
Yeah.
where I was with the previous surgeon. Was I was
Hmm.
in that last appointment by myself. And it
Mm.
was, we're going to take you to surgery on Monday. Well, it was Tuesday. And I was like, uh
Mhm.
no, we're not. Like, no. And of course, him not really knowing me well enough, obviously. But I was just like, yeah, no, we're not going to. Well, you're entitled to a second opinion, but I'm going to get you on the schedule anyways. And I said, yeah, there's no need for you to waste your time putting me on the schedule, sir. I never turned back. I never
This
went
this
back.
wasn't even a second opinion. This was, yep, I hear your opinion, but I'm out. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
are you
Well,
kidding me?
but again, that's we're talking about someone who has a certain expertise and they're
Mhm.
thinking of it a certain way, right?
Yes. Yes.
So while your opinion of your own body, by the way, was heard,
Yes.
in the back of their mind, they're still going forward with what they think is
Yes.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I heard you. I received it. I do not respect it, and we are not doing it. Like, are you like, what part of we were not doing surgery did you not understand? Like,
Right. Right. Like,
we're
yeah.
6 weeks in, bro. Like, I'm not going
Mm-mm.
backwards at this point. Are you
Mm-mm.
kidding me?
Because if that was a choice you wanted, you would have done surgery 6 weeks
6 weeks
before.
ago,
You'd have
six
been like,
weeks
fine,
prior.
let's schedule it and let's go. Right? I
Yes,
mean, yeah.
yes. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're cute. I gotta go. Bye. I was like, and I was in with another surgeon. I mean, I probably got on.
Yeah.
I called two friends of mine. One's a nurse. The other one is, knows quite a few
Hmm.
people in the medical field. And between the three of us, we're like calling all kinds of people. And I've got a second opinion the next morning. And I'm like,
We're
yeah,
gonna find somebody.
yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, you're my doctor. Bye.
Yeah. Do not hesitate to. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you got to speak up. Or again, like I like having that buddy, right? If
Hmm.
you are like even this whatever situation you could be in, the doctor might not be intimidating, but you're just overwhelmed from whatever
Correct.
you're there for, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
yes, being there with somebody is crucial. Yeah,
Yes.
to
Yes.
helping you. I had skipped ahead. Yeah, three was bring a buddy. Four is kind of what you were saying too, writing it down. Prioritize your questions and concerns. So getting ready for the appointment by writing down your questions and concerns. Many people find it hard to remember, and once you get in that appointment, you forget everything you want to say, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, we already talked about writing it down and having the buddy, but that's the thing too. You get overwhelmed by it, so you're just like, oh, okay, I'll do that, Or I
Right.
know that when I've started on like blood pressure medication, I was like, well, hold on, what's that for, and what's the dosage, and how's that gonna like what am I supposed to expect, right? How am I gonna feel? Those kind of things. I'm asking those kind of questions just because of the history of my family members and being at different appointments and hearing all the medications that they were on, right? Like,
Mhm.
okay, so no, I've heard about this. What's this? And I'm asking those questions, right?
Right.
Before I take anything, I'm asking those
Right.
questions. So let's go on to number 5 here. So I think we're onto something
We're
here.
adamant about that
Consider getting a second opinion. Who said that? So
one.
if you feel unsure or uncomfortable with the advice from your doctor, you have the right to get a second opinion. Let me say that again for the people in the back who didn't hear it. If you feel unsure or uncomfortable with the advice from your doctor, you have the right to a second opinion. You can get a second opinion even if you're just curious about ideas or other approaches. People get second opinions all the time. You will not be the first to ask for one. So I think we nailed that one, right?
Yeah. I mean, don't be afraid like you're insulting your doctor. Like,
Nope.
yeah.
Well, because here's the thing, right? If your doctor is insulted from you getting a second opinion, then you don't want to be there anyway.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
it's no different than having someone check your work. Like
Mhm.
it's better to have more eyes on it because there might be something to get missed, right?
Right. Right. Because,
So,
like, even in my situation for the previous surgeon, he was all about
mhm.
um a plate and screws. So, I mean, I don't know. A plate itself is just a hot mess. It's a
But
hot mess.
the
It's
plate and screws,
yeah,
you would have been
it's the
setting
plate.
off
It's
the
like
airplane detectors left and right, man. Like,
it's just the plate in general. Just the plate is, anyways. But then,
yeah.
so the second guy, he was like, rod. So the rod is a small incision up at the top, blah blah blah, yada yada yada.
Also less
If
invasive than a plate and
less
screws.
invasive, and he was like,
Hmm.
and again, this is a healing situation. If you are not satisfied with where you are 2 3 years from now, we can always go back and do this.
See,
I'm like,
but
you, my
talking
friend,
to
are
you like,
speaking my language. Yeah, I'm sitting there like,
but talking to you like you're a person, like
exactly.
you're healing, you're going through it. There's things that you're gonna do, like you said, you're in PT, right? But
Hmm.
it's not one decision or one choice fits everybody. You
Yeah.
know, there were
No.
prep. I'm sure there are people who've had the same a similar accident, right? Who said, "Cool, let's do the surgery, plate
Right.
screws,
They're saying,
let's
I
be
wish
done."
I would have did what you did.
They should have talked to us first. They should have talked to us. I should have walked. I should
Oh,
have left. But
yeah.
because that's why we get stopped at airports because folks who got the plates in. No, I'm going through the metal detectors. But yeah, advocate, speak up. There's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion
Yeah.
at all,
There's
ever.
one girl in the waiting room. She's like, I didn't know I could. I didn't. Well, I was like, well, I don't know what your break was like. So, but first of all, let's start
Right.
there. I was just like, but I just
Yeah.
chose to heal the natural route and just wear the sling. I like
Mm-hmm.
it was an option.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, just so we're
Yep.
clear.
Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. Oh man. Well, let's take a no pun intended. Let's take a break.
Take a break.
Let's pause. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the other 5 tips for advocating for yourself with a doctor. So hang tight, stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back from the break. Hopefully, you've been making your plan on how to advocate for yourself next time you're at the doctor's office. We've given you the first 5 tips of how to advocate for yourself. Now we're going to roll through the next 5. Ready to go with number 6, Jewel?
Sure.
All right. I was kind of talking about this already.
Mm.
Ask a lot of questions. Understanding your care plan is a big part of being your own advocate. Asking questions is a great way to learn more. Here we go again. Consider writing down the questions ahead of
Mhm.
time and bring the list to the appointment with you. If you feel unsure about something the doctor said, ask them to clarify. 100%. Um, that one's pretty self explanatory.
Yeah,
Ask questions. Ask
for sure.
questions. Yeah. This kind of goes with finding a buddy, right? But not just a buddy, find support. So, a support group can be a great way to connect with others who have the same health conditions or issues that you have. Having a network of people may also help you have better access to better care. Within that group, there will be plenty of experiences with different healthcare professionals. So yeah, I think having a support group, not just to find a professional, but like after the care, right? After you've gone through whatever, that's a support group who's been through what you've been through. And there's a lot of cancer survivor groups that are very supportive. Anything, but I think that's a great idea. A support system is what the word I was looking for.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, anything you'd like to add to the support system? Um,
No, I think it's great. Yeah, because I
mhm.
mean, believe me, there was a lot of people who I was like, "You got metal in your body? What?" Like after I was sharing my story, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I've got this. Like, here, I could put a magnet. Look, it's stuck to my arm." I'm sitting there like, "What the heck?" But just again,
And no,
people
she's not talking about
it,
me. No,
just
I have no.
praising, but people just praising, saying that is a smart. Don't do it. If you don't have to do it, don't do it. We live in Ohio, the cold and like if
Ooh,
you can refrain from doing
ooh.
it, don't do it.
Yeah,
And I was just like, okay, like thanks. Like
yeah,
just
and with
have
surgery,
that
man, like
support.
once they cut you open, like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no dice, no dice.
Yeah.
Number 8 is learning as much as you can. So after you've been to the appointment, get diagnosed, it can be helpful to learn more, keep learning about it. You don't need to know everything, but keeping up with the latest treatments or research or knowing more about your condition can help empower you to be an active decision maker in your care plan. Got to add to this one real quick. It's a gift and a curse. Learning more. You can go down the rabbit hole, learn too much, and scare the shit out of yourself.
Correct. I'm
So,
sitting there thinking, man, WebMD is not usually people's friend. So
no, no.
you don't want to know
You
too
can
much.
you can learn way too much. I remember
Yeah.
when I had the stress fractures, right? And I was wearing the boot.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm glad that I did some research because I actually found where the stress fracture was. But other than that, like it's a rabbit hole, and if you go down, you're like, ooh, this is way
Yeah.
too much. And oh, this can happen. That can happen. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Although I will
Gotta.
say the more exposure that they're giving to menopause than what they've ever done in the past has
Hmm.
been real eye-opening I mean, for me, especially as a woman, just because
Sure.
there's a lot of things that, like your
Things are
parents.
making sense.
Yeah, and your parents don't talk to you about nothing. Like you'll sit there and you're talking about,
Yeah.
I'm on a blood pressure pill now for blah 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 yada. And then all of
Hmm.
a sudden your parent is like, "Oh, I've been on one since I was 22," or but you're like, "This could have been helpful information for me so I could like they
It,
don't understand that their history is your history kind of a thing."
that
And so
part.
you're just kind of
Yeah.
like, "What?" But like all of what they're talking about now with the menopause is kind of
Hmm.
like talk about
It's
a
good to
good
put
rabbit
info.
hole. That's a good
Yes.
rabbit
Yeah.
hole. 'Cause it's just kind of like
Yeah.
like palpitations and stuff like you're like, oh, like oh, that's where that comes from, or
Well, it's
the
normalizing it, right? It's
yes,
giving you information so that you're not going to the doctor with every little thing, right?
yeah, because you're like the brain
Yeah.
fog. Oh, like oh, that does
Yeah.
make sense. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't handle stress the way I used to, kind of a thing, and you're just kind of like, well, this is making sense now. You know what I mean? It's like I'm
Be-
not insane.
well, not for that.
Not for that. I guess I am okay. Well, then like, or the fact that they say perimenopausal lasts many years, and it's just like,
Hmm. Which
and
is
true
some
menopause isn't until you actually like stop your period, and you're just kind of going,
way later down the road,
who is not telling me all this information? I need this
right?
information. So talk about a support group. I'm gonna start that damn support group. Jeez.
We'll put her email at the bottom at the end.
It's like, gosh, can somebody help? Because they just
Yeah.
did a special, and what's Naomi Watts was on it talking about
I,
she's 37 years old, and I'm sitting there
hmm.
like, what?
Whoa.
Like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
So
like talking about Weight Watchers again, right? They're actually doing a town hall with a doctor about the very same thing,
yeah, like what
perimenopause,
to
menopause, and
expect. Yeah,
exactly right. Like the more
yeah,
information you give people, you normalize it,
yeah,
and I actually hope some guys sit in on that too, right?
yeah,
So that
yeah,
they can be informed about what's going on. I'm
yeah.
not sure when that town hall is, but I'll get paid to be on that meeting. So there you go. So yeah, there you go. Learning as much as you can, y'all. Number 9 is keeping detailed records. Um, Keeping detailed records, it allows you to track the history and your health journey. But it can be impossible to keep all the details in your head, of course. So you got to take notes. Um, but with different tests that you have, different medications you've taken, keeping a detailed track is a good thing. I've done this with blood pressure, but also family history, right? Because you can forget the small details about your family history and what everybody went through. So I've kind of got like a document on everybody's like, oh, this, and this, right?
Right,
This. So that way I can at least refer to it and say,
right,
oh, I'm now at a certain age. I should be looking out for certain things, you know?
right.
So number 10, the last tip on how to advocate for yourself is with a doctor, is understanding the follow up plan. Excuse me. So, advocating for yourself involves making sure that the ongoing plan, making sure you're aware of the ongoing plan for care. Make sure you understand the roles that you and your doctor have in the follow up plan. And if you have a new prescription, making sure you understand how long you got to take it, what it's for, all that kind of stuff. You gotta understand what the plan is, right?
Hmm.
But I think this also goes back to like you and I are big believers in that second opinion.
Sure.
Eh, because
Yeah.
they can go over, hey, this is what we're gonna do now. This is the plan for afterwards, and then long term. And if you're not cool with that, there's no need for a follow up because I'm going to get a second, third, whatever opinion.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I don't believe. Yeah, uh, just get a second opinion.
Yeah.
If we didn't have to do all 10, that's the one tip I want you to come away with. Get a second opinion. Get a second opinion. But be informed too. Be
Yeah.
informed because the doctors don't know your body like you do, you know?
Yes. Yes. I mean, you definitely want, a physician that shares your value on whatever it is that you're trying to come up
Yeah.
with, whatever your
Yeah.
solution, make sure
Yeah.
you're on the same page.
Yeah. It's
And
a
you can always
partnership.
go back to your primary, and maybe it's just, the specialist is doing something different, you know what I mean? And you can always go back to
Hmm.
whoever referred you but like I'm not going back to that other guy. That's for sure.
You sure? I mean, he might. Hey, he might be the best surgeon. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
I'm kind of thinking he won't see you again.
Actually, I don't know. I might go back after I'm all healed. So I'd be like, hey, look,
Like,
see what see what
go in
happened.
there and do it.
Look what happened. Like, do a chicken dance for him. Like,
Right,
hey,
right, and try to put a magnet. Oh, no metal. Look at that.
look,
No
see,
metal.
no metal. But it's all good. It's all good.
Oh man, folks. Again, get a second opinion. Like you know your
Yes.
body. That's what we want you to know. So,
And another thing I want to say,
oh yes,
don't be upset when your physician is much, much younger than you expected them to be. It is okay. They know information like any other physician. Do not
oh,
make assumptions that they do not. Because let me tell you, my physical therapist is probably about the same age as my oldest daughter. And she walked over to me and I looked like,
you're
what
like, why are
I was
you
like, "Oh,
here?
this must be an intern. Look at this little intern. She's so cute. Look at her." And this young lady,
Oh,
I would love to shout her out, but she has done wonders. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And she cracks up because she's like, "You are so funny." And I'm like, I'm not trying to be. I was like, "You're sweetness. I love you. You're
this is
hilarious."
just me. This,
This is
well,
just yeah.
and you know that's a good point because I forget that too, right? I work with a lot of trainers who are at the gym. They're mid 30s or early 20s,
Exactly.
and I'm not.
Yes.
So I forget that, but yeah, they know what they're doing too, right?
Yes.
They do know
Yes.
what they're doing. A lot of times the folks I work with, it helps them because I do the same thing. So
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, this is a routine that I know works because you do it too." Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
No, I mean, like, she might not get all my references because there was this one time she was doing something and she's like, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I get what you're trying to, they hear the music, but they're in the club. They can't catch the
They
beat.
just they on
And
the
she's
wall though. They on
looking
the
at me
wall.
like, the club? Like, oh, and I was like, oh God, like these babies don't do clubs. Like they didn't go clubbing. And she's just like, oh, I'm like, she's like, you're so funny. I'm just like,
So, yeah, she's like, "What's a club? You mean is that the tiny desk, right? Is that the
like,
a tiny desk concert?" Yeah.
but it's amazing though, like how muscles and everything and nerves, like they just wake up and you know, I don't know, like you expect everything to just start working again, and that's just not how it
No, it's
works. So
I I was gonna say I know way more about the skeletal musculo system than I probably should. Well, no, I should because I'm a trainer.
yeah,
But you're right. Like
it's
yeah,
amazing. It's
it
amazing.
doesn't just do that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah.
she is fantastic. So again,
Good.
mad
Good.
respect to the young ones. They do know what they're talking about. I'm just saying. So
Oh, that is.
because you know they walk in and you just go,
You're
what?
like, oh, you're not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, because like we're at the age our physicians are retiring, and so
If
you're like,
they're still there. Yeah.
exactly. And so then there are these new doctors and nurses and what have you. You're just like, look at this
Yeah.
baby. Like, oh,
Yes, I've had to experience that. I'm like, oh yeah, I forget I'm that age where the doctors are younger. Yeah, it's
yep,
like, oh,
yep,
yeah, yeah,
yep.
can't
So,
avoid it. Well,
anyways,
the young people, they know how to find us on Spotify.
yes, they do. That they
you,
do.
you can find the show on Spotify. Go to the Live All Good podcast, search for the Cruising with the Coaches episodes, or the young people also know about YouTube. We need to get some of the older folks on YouTube as well. But you can go to our YouTube page, like, subscribe. You get all the latest content, every episode, every short, every laugh, every complaint that Julie has about me. Oh, no. I mean, the complaints that users. No, no, it's all good. We've enjoyed y'all. Thanks for being with us on another episode of Cruising with the Coaches. Lee and Julie signing off.